Alright, what's going on, guys? Just make sure everyone can hear me. Alright, what's going on, guys? Alright, so we got this going. Alright, so who's here? Roll call. I know what I'm here to talk about. Let's see. Get my phone on silent. Got my stream going. And Infinity Windows going on. Alright. Alright, let's see. Okay, folks, so I'm here to talk to you about Yu-Gi-Oh! And, I suppose I'll just jump right into it. Let's see. I'll try to open this up in another tab, although I love getting the Infinity Windows, that's kind of cool. Let's see. Alright, so the first topic I got was from a user, Crimson Ben, and he wanted to talk about the viability of a card called Hand Destruction. And so let's see, I'll take that one real quick. The reason people say Hand Destruction is bad is because, first off, let me just get this cleared out. Let's see. Alright. Alright, here we go. Hand Destruction, you see what it does. I have one right here as well. What Hand Destruction does, each player sends 2 cards from their hand to the graveyard, then each player draws a card. This is the newest print of it. It's got a slight deviation from how it works in the OCG. And the OCG, if a player is unable to send cards from their hand to the graveyard, then Hand Destruction can't activate. But in the TCG, that's not the case. At least only one player has to actually be able to use the to send cards for this to work. The reason this card is considered a negative is because your opponent, first off, you're sacrificing 1 card and dropping 2 cards to draw cards, so that's why it's considered a negative. You're negging 1. And that's pretty much the easiest way to do it. There are some advantage just using Hand Destruction. It can be used very effectively during the during your draw phase to draw cards that you otherwise would not have had, which is useful in some very limited extent. But it's good if you have a card like Heart of the Underdog, for example, on the field, because again, Heart of the Underdog works during the draw phase. So where cards like One Day of Peace down here wouldn't have the same function of being able to trigger during the draw phase to extend the effect of Heart of the Underdog, Hand Destruction would. And outside of that, though, there is very limited usability here. There is some advantage to being able to use this during the opponent's turn. Maybe after they search, when they have 2 cards in their hand, let's say your opponent searches for a specific card they want and they've got 2 cards, but there are cards that do it better. Although I do, again, enjoy the ability of using Hand Destruction to disrupt plays. Personally, I'm a very disruptive player, so that is why I use Hand Destruction, is because I know that everybody searches. So I guess to answer your question is because it has some versatility in playing the opponent outside instead of playing the game. Alright, so let's see. Looks like we have 2 viewers. Feel free to introduce yourself, new viewer. I see I've got 2 of you now. But if you have a question, I'll take it right now since it's just you and me. So let's see. Some things I want to talk about, people. I need to get off the YouTube channel while I'm doing this. Pop out the chat. There we go. I'll keep the chat popped out on the side. Oops, minimize that. Bring it back over here to the right. All right, I don't need that much space. There we go. And there we go. So now I need to open that up. I can. Alright, so let's see. Since no one's talking, I'll just get some content here for the video. I don't want it to be a terribly boring video, so I'll just get talking. One, I'd like to talk to you guys about the ban list, which will be coming out fairly soon. One thing I'd like to make note of is Harpy's Feather Duster has a very good chance of coming off the ban list. And that is, in my opinion, amazing. I mean, I love the fact that we're going to be getting, sorry, that's my channel, close out some of these extra tabs. But that is amazing that we might be getting Harpy's Feather Duster. For those of you who play for value, that is probably the biggest news that you've gotten for a while. If you've got old Harpy's Feather Dusters, hold on to them. And if you don't have them, try to get them. Some cards that you can expect to go up in value, not necessarily in price, but in value per price. Like a card might be worth something monetarily, but usable much more than that. Some cards I'd like to talk about are Black Garden. Now I've got one over here again as well. I've always got one. I run this in a lot of dedicated summon decks, but Black Garden is a really... Here, I need to get off the TCG Player. Let me go to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card database. I have no reason to support TCG Player on this. They're not sponsoring me. But let's see. Black Garden. And Summoning Curse. Here we go. First, I'd like to talk to you about Black Garden. I'm going to read the text to you. Of course, you can see it on your screen there. If a monster is normal or special summoned except by the effect of Black Garden, halve its attack. Also, you special summon 1 Rose token, which is a plant, level 2 with 800 attack and defense, to the opponent side of the field, opponent being the opponent of the controller of the monster summoned, in attack position. The attack loss remains even if this card leaves the field. You can target 1 monster in your graveyard with attack equal to the total attack of all plant-type monsters in the field. Destroy this card and as many plant-type monsters in the field as possible. Then, if the total attack of the attacked monster, the total attack of the destroyed monster had in the field is equal to the attack target's attack, special summon that target. So, I'm going to ignore the bottom half of this, and I just want you all to focus on this part right here. Let's see. If a monster is normal or special summoned except by the effect of Black Garden, have its attack, and special summon 1 Rose token. Now, the reason that is so significant is because you can basically lock your opponent's field up. This is really good in Kaiju decks, this is really good in Paleozoic decks, this is really good in just about any deck where you summon. Right? Now, people are like, but your opponent's going to be plussing off of this. Well, only a few decks actually tribute summon. But even if they do, they then require having a synchro or a tuner on the field. So you're going to cause congestion on your opponents. Now DDD monsters do tribute summon, but again, you're stopping them from putting their big hits on the field by limiting the number of monsters that they can summon. They can only tribute summon once per turn, which means at the most, they're going to be getting rid of 2 tokens. They can also end up having to waste a Dark Hole to get rid of it in other decks, which would be getting rid of the monsters, but still. Causing congestion to the opponent's field is important and it's clever, but if you want to go a little bit further with this, look at a card called Summoning Curse. If a monster is special summoned, the controller of that monster banishes 1 card from their hand. Once per turn during your end phase, you pay 5,000 life points, so you have to destroy this card. This card is amazing when combined with Black Garden. I'm going to talk to you about how this can set up some pretty amazing, especially first turn setups. Although, I'll get to the draw engine a little bit later. Just gonna throw out 3 cards here that would make that pretty much a game-winning combo. Let's see. So you have Ronin Totem, Dupe Frog, Swap Frog. That's just an example. For those of you who don't know what I'll open it up while I explain it. Let's see. Swap Frog can special summon itself by getting rid of a water monster from the hand. It's also just a level 2 Aqua, so it can summon itself just by normal summoning. When it's summoned, it can send to the graveyard one, I believe, level 2 Aqua type monster from the deck to the grave, which sets up the next combination, which would be Ronin Totem. Let's do Ronin. I forgot how to spell his name. He's just one word. Ronin Totem and Dupe Frog. Now, I'm going to assume that everyone knows what Totally Awesome is for this explanation, but I will be bringing that up as well here. That'll be the last card that I cover. Of course, any rank 2 exceeds would work. Just leave that E off there. I don't know why I did that. Alright, so what we have here, start with Swap Frog. You special summon Swap Frog to the field, and then, I'm just going to bring this up. You special summon Swap Frog to the field, and you send to the graveyard Ronin Totem or Dupe Frog. If you have one or the other in your hand when you first start out, you would special summon Swap Frog. Let's say you have Dupe Frog in your hand. You send Dupe Frog to the grave, special summon Swap Frog, send Ronin Totem to the grave. Or vice versa if you have Ronin Totem in your hand. Swap Frog can then send himself back to the hand, normal summon himself with the first normal summon of a turn. If you have another frog in your hand, you can also special summon him to keep it going. Excuse me. And then you could special summon Ronin Totem from the graveyard. Oh, sorry, Swap Frog will send another one to the graveyard after being normal summoned. But then you can special summon Ronin Totem from the graveyard by banishing Dupe Frog. Now, you have done 3 summons, 2 or 3 summons so far with this combination. Now you would, your hand will have been reduced. You would have lost 2 or 3 cards from your hand, or more if you have multiples, but 2 or 3 cards from your hand. If you have Summoning Curse and Black Garden in your hand and have played both of them on turn 1, and I will be getting into that in a moment. Black Garden, Summoning Curse, then your opponent will have at this point lost lost 2 cards from their hand already. Summon Ronin Totem, they've lost 3 cards, banished from their hand entirely. Now, I'm sure you know where this is going. It's time to Exceed Summon. You Exceed Summon Totally Awesome, or whatever, by overlaying 2. Now you have Totally Awesome on the field, and your opponent will then banish another card. They've got 4 tokens on their side of the field, which means they have only 1 space of field to use. And again, if you had a better hand layout, you can do this a plethora more of times. So it really all depends on what your starting hand looks like. But that does go all out, but it does get the job done as well. So that's why I like this particular combo. The other option is you, and this one's a little bit harder to do because you're going to be leaving cards in your hand that you're going to have to banish when you normal summon. But what you could do is you could, your normal summon is not going to make you banish a card, so you're going to play around your normal summon very substantially with Swap Frog. You normal summon Swap Frog, sending a frog to the graveyard, right? Return him to the hand by his effect, right? if you have a Dupe Frog in your hand, you can then normal summon that Dupe Frog, right? Send whatever other water monster you have in your hand to the graveyard to special summon a Swap Frog. You've now still summoned 3 times, right? Bring the 4th monster back to the field, Ronin Totem from the graveyard, which you would have gotten using Swap Frog's effect. And you now have summoned 4 times. The overlay would be 5 times. Your opponent will be starting their turn with 5 cards from their hand banished, no cards to play, and 5 tokens on their side of the field, leaving them almost no options for sending a back row. Well, back row is not really scary because you have Totally Awesome. No matter what card they play, outside of a Kaiju tributing Totally Awesome, you will have an answer for it. Because Totally Awesome can get rid of a material, negate the activation, take the monster, take the card. So you would be getting their card. So it's just beautiful. And if they do give you a Kaiju, well then I guess you're starting off with a Kaiju, and your opponent would then be making you banish and stuff. Now I'm going to get to the draw engine here of this, and I know it's going to be a lot to talk about, but just checking the chat. Alright, so I'm going to keep Black Garden, Summoning Curse open. I'm going to drop Swap Frog here for a second. Let's see. Home. 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 There we go. Let's see. I'm just going to type in Destiny Hero. Let's see, level 8. Search. This is important. Notice that I'm putting in level 8 here. Alright. Let's go back. I'm going to ignore Dystopia for a second. Let's see, just make them effect monsters. Dark, here we go, effect. I think that should work. I'm just going to search. No, I guess not. It's still a Warrior Fusion effect. Alright, so we have this. I'll just keep it simple. These 3 are all level 8 Dark Destiny Hero monsters. I've not seen anyone using this combination so far. Not to say it doesn't exist, but outside of people who I've suggested use this combination, I have not seen anyone using it. So I'm going to do trade in. Don't need this open. Blue of Darkness. Destiny Draw. Some of you have already figured out what I'm doing here, but I'm going to have you read these. Discard 1 level 8 monster, draw 2 cards. Draw 2 cards that then banish 1 dark monster from your hand, or if you do not have any in your hand, send your entire hand to the graveyard. Discard 1 Destiny Hero card, draw 2 cards. Now you have 3 on this list. They're all level 8, which means they all meet the requirements for trade-in. Of course, they're all dark. Dark, dark, dark. So they meet the conditions for Allure of Darkness. And they're also all Destiny Hero monsters, which means they meet the needs for Destiny Draw. So let's see. What you do is, let's see. I'm just going to do this in a text document here. Let's see, so. What we have here is Dogma. Let's get that font up so you guys can see that a little bit better. I'm going to try to avoid having anything with my horrible face covering it. Dreadmaster. Plasma. Destiny Draw. Allure of Darkness. Trade it. Alright, so 3 of each of these would be 18 cards. That is 18 cards for just drawing. Right? So, drawing into... You have to draw one of these, at least, which is a 9 in 40 chance. Well, 9 cards out of 40 could be these. That's not necessarily a 9 in 40 chance because you're drawing 5 cards. Then you have to draw one of these, which is the same option because they're all at 3. So it's 18 cards you have to look at, which each one has a better than 40% chance. Sorry, better than 25% chance to draw initially, no problem. Chances are you're going to be getting one of them at least. Then you have 1 day of peace. Again, I hope everyone knows what this card does because I'm not going to explain every single card here. But for basic, it's both players draw 1 card. No battle damage until the end of your opponent's next turn. Upstart Goblin. Also at 1. So these are 2 cards. You're now down to up to 20 cards, half your deck devoted to drawing. Every card on this screen right now has a value of neutral, which means basically makes your deck a 20-card deck if you draw it perfectly, which of course you might not do. Now you would not want to do you don't want to use Pot Duality or things like that because that would stop the whole Black Garden thing from working. But you do want to have Dupe Frog. Oh, I'll leave that later. Royal Magical Library. Actually, Into the Void. At 3. So, which is, I'll leave it. I'll put this up here because it's basically the same thing. Into the Void, which is 3. So that puts 23 cards so far. Now you got Royal Magical Library, which you can run at 3, but I suggest 2. Same with Wonder Wand. Alright. Now you have Terraforming. You'd want to run 2 of these and 2 Black Gardens. I'm only saying that run 2 because of consistency. You don't want to get your hand congested. And if you draw 2 Black Gardens, then Terraforming becomes a dead card. Sorry, I did that wrong. Black Garden at 3. Terraforming at 2. But Terraforming into Black Garden can help with Royal Magical Library. Alright, so if you run Royal Magical Library at 2 and Wonder Wand at 2, that puts you at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 32 cards, which leaves you 8 cards. In fact, I'm going to do Wonder Wand at 1. 21 cards. Yeah, 31 cards. So that leaves you 9 cards to work around with right now, which would probably want to be 2 Swap Frogs, 3 Ronin Totem, 3 Dupe Frogs. They have a 40-card deck, right? Now, what I have not worked in here is Summoning Curse, which can still fit, but you have to find space for it. And again, this is all just a gimmick deck, a deep draw deck that you should play fast and not be rude to your opponent, to make your opponent lose their entire hand on turn 1. You'll be losing your entire hand as well, but you'll have established a field presence already in doing this. I bring this combo up because, for one, just in general, Black Garden is a highly volatile card. I want to talk to people about how this card can be used more competitively now. Let's see how many people are watching. 1 watching now. Alright, nobody's here. But since no one's here to discuss it, I'll just talk about Black Garden. This card can be splashed into the main deck of any deck. If you're running monsters, you should play this card because your opponent's going to be attacking into your tokens. You can be using it to stop your opponent from doing anything, filling up their field, just ravaging them. Some other versatility with this card comes from Big Bang Shot. The equipped monster gains 400 attack. If the equipped monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. When it leaves the field, banish the equipped monster. So some disclaimer here. You could always run this with cards like here. An easy one to splash in. Asura Priest. Not the one that you're probably going to want to do, but Asura Priest works. With other equipped cards, spell cards that would make the attack higher, or any way you'd like to do it, you could run Asura Priest Big Bang Shot in here to hit your opponent the old-fashioned way. These tokens have 800 defense, so if anything happens to your field spell card, it dies. However, you could run Asura Priest to do cleanup. Or, since you're getting tokens yourself, you have Ultimate Tyranno, which is beastly. Just fantastic card here. Other cards you might want to look at, especially if you're using sorry, I should explain what he does. He's the same thing as Asura Priest, basically, just with a much higher attack. So if you don't have to get rid of Black Garden to summon him, he can just he has that link. He has the attack to sort of back himself up. I suggest Mage Power as well in the deck. You know, if you're going to go full into this strategy. This deck, the reason this combo works is because you're basically avoiding anything your opponent is doing, and you're controlling the plays from both players. If you're controlling what your opponent has on the field, and they're not, then you're setting yourself up for some pretty sturdy plays. Because who's going to be prepared for Black Garden? People say, who runs Black Garden? No one's going to be prepared for it. You might get a Twin Twister on it, but once Twin Twister hits that, first your opponent has to have a hand for it to work, which they very likely will not. And sorry for that, doorbell went off. But what happens is you're going to have to be looking at what your opponent has on field. Why prepare for what your opponent does when you can just ignore it completely? How many decks are in the meta right now that focus on banishing cards or get advantage from banishing cards? Not many. So Summoning Curse really does give you some advantage there. But coming back to Big Bang Shot, Ultimate Tyranno would hit the field with 1500 attack if your Black Garden has remained on the field. Big Bang Shot will put him at 1900. If your opponent has 5 tokens, which is doable, this is just a hypothetical situation, though, you'll be doing 1,100 damage for every token you destroy. If you have a Mage Power, that's game. If you have Mage Power and Big Bang Shot, let's just say it's just those 2 cards to be lowballing it here. You'll be increasing a 1,500. Oh, well, I guess you'd have Black Garden too in that scenario because his attack is half. So Black Garden too. So his attack will be 3,400. And I'm sorry, I gotta get that door. I'll be right back. Sorry, I'm shooting a button on to get the door. Feel free to tune in. We'll go deal with that on YouTube. Okay. If you have any questions or if you want to be supportive, I think my crowd just like left because I had to get the door. But I'm back, I swear. Alright, let's see, guys. Alright, so where was I? I was talking about Ultimate Tyranno. 1,500 from Mage Power plus the 400. He'd be 3,400. So that means 2,600 per. He'd only have to destroy. He'd pretty much only have to destroy 3 tokens to kill your opponent. 26, 26. It should be with a little bit of chains left over, but 26, 26, 52. Yeah, 7,800 damage to the opponent. Leaving them with 200. So 4 for a guaranteed OTK, which again is doable. Even more so, they don't have to be in defense mode because he's going to be hitting them directly. But that's just assuming late game or side decking. That's why I'm saying Mage Power is probably a better pick, because you can fill your opponent's field up on your terms. So 2 Mage Powers, again, game. 2,000 plus attack on a cut in half Asura Priest is game. I believe 850 damage. Yeah, so that'd be 2,850. That is 3 attacks for game. And who can't summon 3 monsters in one turn? So, let's see. I stepped away. I don't think I missed anything because there is literally no one in the chat. But, alright. So, is there anyone watching? One watching now. Just going to cheat there and give myself a like. But let's see. If you give me a second, folks, I'm going to go over here and plug myself in to Facebook. Let people know I'm streaming. I'll just use a share link. It's shorter. Alright, there we go. Just going to adjust my laptop here. Alright, so you've heard me discuss Black Garden. You've heard me discuss a few things, actually. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm down for Black Garden. But let me discuss another card with you, which I might have right here. Let me check real quick. Present card accuracy. By the way, I do love present card as the unsuspected tech. I should probably get off my Facebook here. But let's see. If I don't have it, then I'll just open it up over here. Looks like I do not. Oh, that's right. I believe it's in my side deck. The one that I had in there. By the way, guys, check out this awesome deck box. Yes, I'm tooting my own horn. These are deck boxes that I invented. A nice little slot there. You can see cards to the front. But hope you guys would appreciate something like that. Let's see if it's in here. We're talking about Fiend Comedian too. Some of you have heard me do that before and might be thinking it's a an old thing to talk about. Okay, here we go. Balance of Judgment. Right, I am still going to open it up over here. But what Balance of Judgment does, especially in the side deck, is if you're playing against someone... Oh, and again, it works super good with Black Garden, and I'll show you why in a moment. Let's see if I have Black Garden open still. Oh, no, it's Summoning Curse. Oh, well, I'll just do Black Garden. And Balance of Judgment. One thing I should mention about Balance of Judgment is I highly believe that this card, which is so cheap right now... oh, I'm sorry, I keep spelling Judgment wrong. Alright, so what it does is if your opponent controls more cards than the combined number of cards in your hand and that you control, you draw cards equal to the surplus. But you can only activate 1 per turn. Alright, so simple card. Black Garden makes this card ridiculous. Alright, if you're going for ham on your opponent and you have summoned all those tokens to the other side of the field, chances are you've got this card, chances are you've got Black Garden, and chances are you've got one totally awesome on the field, right? If you have not used Summoning Curse. So your opponent has 5 cards on the field, 6 in their hand, doesn't matter about how many they have in hand. But they have 5 cards on the field, you got 3, this card's +2, right? Once the game starts and your opponent started playing cards, though, Balance of Judgment becomes a lot more techy. Of course, you got Balance of Judgment as well. So that's you're drawing +2 on this. The first card your opponent plays makes this a plus, drawing 3. So it's a +2 for the card. Drawing 3 cards, right? Everything your opponent does to give themselves any kind of advantage, setting up scales, whatever, this card is going to give you extra draws. Okay, so going second against a Zodiac deck, for example, this card that's actually where this card comes in to huge advantages when you're going second. Balance Judgment really does level the playing field and lets you gain some advantage back. Some people say, well, why not run Max C? Well, why not do both? Why not do both? Thing you gotta look out for though with Black Garden is people who run Mac. I think I got. Yeah, we go. Is people who run Maxi because this card can really get to, like, let's say you have Black Garden out, of course. It's your opponent's turn. They're about to summon a lot of stuff. They can drop Maxi, fill your field up, and every time Black Garden goes off, you draw the opponent would be drawing a card. That is a dangerous scenario for Black Garden. That's where most people get turned off by this strategy entirely. And I get it. I understand it. Not going to try to argue with you guys on it happens. I have had an opponent activate a Max C against me, and I was able to loop in and get the opponent down to 4 cards in their deck. Starting out with a giant hand, they had every card they could possibly want in their hand. But I mean, you can only do so much in one turn. I mean, they would have searched for what they needed anyways. And then I just stalled it out using my Sleeping Shadows deck, which some of you might remember. Sleeping Shadows. I'm sure you can see what it does right there. But basically, Threatening Roar, 1 day apiece, Wabaku, just stuff to wreck the opponent. Book of Eclipse is what ended up wasting my opponent away on that play. I had a set Book of Eclipse, and the opponent ended their turn. I made them draw cards, and that was that. But I mean, coming back to what I was talking about earlier. Sorry, itchy back. Let's see. All right, so I've talked draw engines. Let's talk ban list. Let's talk about what's going to happen on this ban list here. All right, so looking at this ban list, we see some cards that really don't need to be here anymore. Example would include Harpy's Feather Duster. It's not going to stay banned. Doesn't need to be here anymore. Doesn't need to be. Gateway of the Six does not need to be here anymore. It's just not broken like it used to be. Let's see. Let's go back and just look from this top here. I'm one of the few people who think Elemental Stratos is doing good on the list because he basically destroys. People look at the effect of searching, the grab effect. But he's basically a multiple times per turn MST that you can just like jump out there. Basically an MST from the graveyard. That could also destroy more than one spell and trap card. I see why he's there. You'd be able to control your opponent's back row pretty successfully with a devoted deck. Let's see. Then we have See, I'm down for Kaiser Coliseum staying, but it has a chance of coming out. Let's just talk about that there. Let's see. You know, coming over here to a limited list, I think that's important as well. Scout, where is he at? Clifford Scout. Am I in the wrong place? It's limited Scout. Oh, sorry. I forgot he's a normal monster. Derp. But yeah, Clifford Scout can come out to 2 or 3. Easy. He's not that big of a deal anymore. He was basically only put on this list to stop the to move the format forward. You know, Unicorn could be banned. People are talking about that. I don't know. I don't think that really needs to happen. That's not affecting the gameplay now. I'm just talking about cards that wouldn't impact the metagame terribly if they, you know, came out of the list a little bit. Grand Mole can be at 3. Like, just bring Grand Mole to 3. My logic is if Thousand Eyes Restrict can come to 3, Grand Mole can come to 3. Ceasefire can come to 3. Bring back Burn Decks. Let's see. You know, Ryo can come to 3. Max C could be limited. Like, honestly, it punishes the opponent for playing their deck. That's my thoughts on that. Although Max C is not really the most broken card in the game. Let's see it change. Cards that could be banned, and we all know that they're out there. People have predictions that Trishula is going to be at 3. Which, who knows? Maybe. You know, Bryonic being at 1, that seems a little silly, but can I get a shout out for Shockmaster here? Oh, someone's watching the video. Let's see. But yeah, Shockmaster coming out would be decent. Let me see. Sorry, the video is kind of cutting there. Let's see if I can get that unblurry. Not sure why. Let's see. Might be just my end. Hey guys, can you see if is it blurry on your end too? Or did it fix? Here, I should probably switch for a second and then come back to it. But yeah. Alright guys, well, low viewer count, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this stream and maybe come back to it a little bit later with a repeat of this one when more people are active. The sneak peeks are probably taking a lot of attention from people, but we'll see what's going on there. Alright, this has been Jay with Overdrive Games, Tier 0 Gaming, and I hope to see you again. Have good duels. I have no idea how to stop my own video. I have no idea how to stop my stream.